Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make an almond coconut bundt cake or loaf cake. I'm going to do it in a 6-cup bundt tin, which is a small bundt tin, but you can do it in a 2-pound loaf tin like this. And the volume that you can get into this 2-pound loaf tin is exactly the same as fits into a 6-cup bundt tin. So either will work very well. And I should say that 2-pound loaf tin, the external dimensions are 9 inches by 5 inches on the top, and the internal dimensions are 8.5 inches by 4.5 inches. So 23 centimetres by 15, and it would then be 21.5 centimetres by 13.5, I think. So, but a 2-pound loaf tin, if you've got one of those, that will work fine. So the cake is going to have some almond extract in it to flavour that lightly, along with some vanilla. And then over the top I would put, or drizzle, a coconut flavoured icing, and then I will sprinkle some toasted coconut flakes on the top, or desiccated coconut on the top. You don't have to do that, that's an optional extra. So it's not a difficult recipe, and you can do it with a hand mixer or a stand mixer, or you can do it all by hand if you want to. I start off by preheating my oven to 170 degrees Celsius, 150 Celsius with a fan, 325 Fahrenheit. And I'll go on to the ingredients. And for the cake I have 170 grams, which is slightly more than 12 tablespoons of soft unsalted butter. I have 265 grams, 1 1/3 cups of caster sugar, and I'm using golden caster sugar because that's what I've got, but you could also use granulated sugar if you want to, that will work perfectly fine. I have 3 medium eggs, which would be large in the USA, 187 grams, 1 1/4 cups, based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup of plain flour. I have 1 1/4 grams, which is 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I have 1 gram, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and I have 5 milliliters, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and also in there you can see a little circle of oily stuff. I have 2.5 milliliters, 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract. Here I just have some coconut flakes, which I have toasted a little bit in the oven for about 5 minutes. And as I said, you can use this type of coconut, or you can use desiccated coconut, and you can toast it or not, and it's entirely optional. And then for the icing to go on the top, I have 120 grams, which is 1 cup of icing sugar. I have 45 milliliters, 3 tablespoons of cream, and 37 milliliters, 2.5 tablespoons of cream of coconut. Now I've actually just got coconut cream, which comes in a block, which you can put into Asian food, curries and savoury dishes, and I've just grated a little bit of that off and warmed it up so that it's melted like that, and that's perfectly fine. And then I have 2.5 milliliters, 1/2 teaspoon of coconut extract, and I've got that. I'm using that simply because I have it in the cupboard. This coconut cream will give a very good coconut flavour. This will just enhance that slightly, and you don't need to use it if you don't have it. So I can put the ingredients for the icing to one side, as well as the coconut flakes, and we'll use these ingredients to make our cake. And I'm going to do this in a bowl using my hand mixer, and I'm going to start off by creaming together the butter and the sugar until it's all nice and fluffy, and that's going to take 3 or 4 minutes probably. And that's good enough like that. So I'm going to add the eggs in one at a time, and I'm going to whisk those until they're fully incorporated. And that's good enough like that. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my salt into my flour and the baking soda as well, and I'm going to just whisk those around a little bit gently. That's to get those mixed through the flour. And then I'm going to start to add the flour into this wet mixture here, and I'm going to alternate that with the yoghurt and the 2 extracts. So I'm just going to give this a little mix on a low speed, like that, and I'm going to add some of the yoghurt, and at this stage I'll add in the vanilla and the almond extract as well. I'll give those a mix through and do the same with the remaining flour and the remaining yoghurt until it's just combined. We don't want to overmix it. And that's reasonably well mixed through, and I'm just going to give it one little fold or so with my spatula to make sure that any excess flour is incorporated, and then I can put that into my cake pan. And if I didn't say it, I have greased and floured my bundt tin, and I've knocked out the excess flour. So I'm going to spoon this in, and then I'm going to try to level that off as best I can. I think it will level itself off in the oven to some extent as it heats up, but I'm going to push it against the sides a little bit just to make sure that the pattern is covered. And I think that's pretty much as I need to do. And then I'm simply going to tap that a few times to release any large air bubbles. And I'm going to put that into my oven, and I'm going to bake it for between 40 and 50 minutes. It should rise up nicely to fill the bundt tin or the loaf tin, and I can poke a skewer into the centre, and when the skewer comes out clean, I'll know that the cake is done. At that point I'll take it out of the oven and I'll leave it in the tin for 15 to 20 minutes, and then I will try to release it from the tin onto a wire rack and let it cool completely. And once it's completely cool, I can come back and we'll make the icing or the glaze to go over the top and finish it off. I baked my cake for 50 minutes and I tested it with a skewer, and that came out clean. So I took it out of the oven and left it in the tin for 20 minutes. Then I turned it out onto a rack. It stuck just a little bit in a couple of places, but that's fine. The icing is going to cover that anyway to some extent. So the cake is now cooled down and it is time to make the icing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my little drop of coconut flavouring into the coconut cream, and I'm going to add in about 3 tablespoons, 45 millilitres of cream. Then I'll give that a stir around, and that will be the liquid for the icing. I'm going to put that into the icing sugar, and if I need to loosen it with a little bit of warm water at any stage, I will do that. And I'm going to stir that together. And as I always say with these, if it's too thick you can add more liquid, and if it's too runny you can add more icing sugar until you get the consistency that you want. And I added a teaspoon of water, warm water, to mine, just to loosen it up a little bit. And that's quite runny, but that's, I think, perfectly good for what I want. So I'm going to take that and I'm just going to drizzle it a little bit at a time on the top and allow it to run down the side of the cake. And I've used as much of my icing as I want to use. So then I'm going to take some of my toasted coconut pieces and I'm going to put those on the top. And again, how much you use is entirely up to you. And I'll just mention again, if you don't have flakes of coconut, you can use desiccated if you want to. So I've sprinkled as much coconut on the icing as I wanted to, and I'm going to leave that now just so that icing can set up a little bit, and then once he's done that I'll come back and I'll slice it and I'll have a taste of it. So I left the icing to set up for a short while, and I've cut a slice of the cake, so I'll have a taste of it. Very, very good. The cake is lovely and soft. I'll have a taste just of the cake itself without the icing. So the cake is lovely and soft, has a wonderful flavour, just a hint of the almond and the vanilla coming through, and then that icing with the coconut flavour and then the flakes of coconut set it off perfectly. So this is great, I imagine, with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or something. So lovely for an afternoon snack. That's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.